talk about this week. Let's talk about what we're going to discuss. 2 weeks ago, we talked about how to manage your energy because only about 40% of people in the workforce, other companies, felt motivated during the day. So as leaders, today I want to talk about how to fuel your energy when your tank is low. How to fuel your energy. How many of you have reached a point in your calling and clothing, that's not a word, as clothiers, where you were sometimes just a little flat with your motivation? Has anybody felt that way? Yep. Yeah, people are like that guy over there. Yeah, all of us reach points when our energy and our motivation is low. So I'm going to share with you some questions that you can ask yourself to sort of reboot yourself when your energy is down and you're a leader. All right. So let me tell you a little story before we launch into this. I managed some years ago an organization of salespeople, and two of the people in that organization I remember vividly. We had an organization working, and there were two guys who actually lived together. They were roommates, and they were working in the same turf. They had the same area that they worked. It'd be like if two of you were calling on the two different floors of the same firm or something. You know, they were in the same place. So it wasn't a turf issue, but they had different reactions to their selling area. The guy's name is Matt and Paul. Now, Matt had an attitude where he came in, and this, again, there was nothing different in terms of clients, but he would come in at the end of the day and we'd call and talk stats. And Matt was always failing. His self-talk was like, I'm no good at this. I'm crap. I can't do this. And then here are his questions. Why is this happening to me? Why don't people like me? Which is part of his problem. You don't need to be liked. You need to be an expert, correct? You don't need to be a friend. But anyway, we saw that on Dimitri's email. So he came home talking about, woe is me. Why is this happening? Why don't my clients like to spend time with me? And those are all the wrong questions. Now, Paul, his roommate, who was having the exact same turf, exact same challenges, almost the exact same statistics, sales production, he came home and he was like, what was his self-talk? What were his questions? He said, I'm learning so much. And I was like, wow, you are. Your stats are suffering. He goes, oh man, I'm growing so much. I'm going to make it sometime. And he's like, how can I get better? What can I do to improve? And so his brain moved over to an area of solutions, not an area of suffering like Matt. So Matt and Paul, same situation, same area, same turf, completely different reactions. One stumbles, one flounders, the other actually did a great job and obviously had a great production in the long run. So the difference is motivational energy. So I'm going to tell you something. Here's something, occasionally I'll say something important. Here's one. The most powerful questions are the questions you ask yourself. Dramatic pause, indicating this is a time to write. The most powerful questions are the questions you ask yourself. All right? And if you think about it, it's true. Let me ask you a question. Who's responsible for managing your energy during the day as you make calls? Yourself. Correct answer. You are responsible for managing your energy. And a lot of people, I'm not talking about LGFG, but a lot of people in sales, they sort of surrender to, I have such a lousy boss. He's mean. All right. I have such a boring job. I have a boring task. Or I work in such a turbulent work environment that, I'm not responsible for my own self-motivation and my energy level. Those are lies, okay? You're responsible to manage your energy. So we're going to talk about today 3 buckets, I'll call them buckets, of motivational energy that you can attend to and you can concentrate on. And I'm going to give you questions for each area, okay? So let's talk about energy first. Energy sinks, it goes down when you feel like you're a puppet or you're just a cog in the corporate wheel. You know, I won't ask if anybody feels like that, but I have talked to people over the years who felt like I don't control my destiny. I'm just a marionette on strings. I'm at the mercy of someone else telling me what to do. So your energy is going to drop in that situation if that's what you think about. The second thing that happens, it causes your energy to sink, is if you're engaging in tasks that you think are trivial or meaningless. If you're like, what I do every day doesn't matter. It's meaningless. You know, if you're not connected to purpose, you're just like, your energy's crap. It's really hard to work. It's just, it's a real negative grind, not a positive grind. Okay. And the third thing I think causes your energy to sink is when you aren't learning or developing skills. Okay. If you're learning, you're going to get some energy from that. And now, where does your energy rise? 3 ways it rises. It rises when you make choices instead of being a puppet. It rises when you start to see meaning even in the seemingly boring part of your job, meaning in the mundane, you might say. And your energy goes up when you start developing useful skills. You get excited, right? Has anybody felt that way? You're like, hey, I'm learning something. This is cool. I like it. This is going to help me long term. So there are 3 areas or buckets of motivational energy that we want to talk about. The first one is choice. The second one's connection. And the third one is competence. And you're like, so choice, connection, and competence. Those are your headings if you're a note taker. Now, you guys are like, Lee, you're so wise. And I realize that. Do you make all this stuff up? No, I actually steal from some of the best people out there. And all I do is distill it, make it simple, and give it to you. So there's a book out that I kind of like by Susan Fowler. You probably haven't heard of her. She's an American author. She wrote a book called Master Your Motivation. Master Your Motivation. So I am giving you the essence of that book so you don't have to buy it and read it. Aren't you thankful? Yes. Okay. I love staring heads. Okay. So let's talk about these different areas, these buckets. Okay. First one, energy in choice. Energy in choice. Choice is the perception that we are the ones that are directing our behavior. Remember, you're not a puppet. You have choices to make. So you have to remember, I'm in control of my own destiny. I'm the captain of my ship. I'm the master of my fate, right? So here are questions under your choice category. You get energy from these. Ask yourself, what choices do I have? You know, when I talked to LGFGers way back when we first started, there were a few that were not happy with their situation. And they felt like, well, I'm just on this treadmill, just making calls, not going anywhere. I don't have a future, etc. And they felt very limited. That's what they complained about. So a question to ask, if you feel that way a little bit, is what choices do I have? Here's another question. What choices have I made? What choices have I made? That's a great way to take inventory on where you are. Here's another one, another level of choice. What choices am I glad I made? What choices am I glad I made? If you're doing well and you're growing and learning, like my friend Paul in my earlier story, he was glad he was part of the organization. Are you glad you're part of LGFG? Are you glad you made the choice to stick with it, even though at one point you felt like quitting? I've talked to several of you, and I won't mention names, who were like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can make it. But you're stuck with it. That is a good choice. So you should be like, I'm glad I did that. That's a good decision. So what choices do I have? What choices have I made? What choices am I glad I've made? Here's a question to make you think. What choices would I do over? If I think back on my life or my career, what choices would I like to do over? Because all of us make mistakes. Man, I would do some serious do-overs in my life. in certain areas. If we're at a meeting sometime, we'll have a beer and talk about it. But here's another fifth one. What choices do I have going forward? What choices do I have going forward? Okay? So you're not a victim. You're not trapped in your situation. The great thing about LGFG is whether you're a booking buddy, whether you're a clothier, whether you're an EA, no matter where you are in the company, you have the choice to move up and better your situation. That is cool. You could give yourself a raise this month. Do you understand that? There's all kinds of stuff to win. There's contests, there's incentives, there's watches, there's bamboo socks, for gosh sakes. All things that are winnable. So that should give you energy. You've got choices. All right. So sometimes recognizing that we have choice is enough to make the right choice. So that's enough energy and choice. That's section 1. Part 2, there's energy and connection. Let me give you some questions about this. Connection includes the belief that our goals are aligned to meaningful values, like a sense of purpose. Okay? So that all falls under connection. If you guys were here the last couple semi-annual meetings that we had, that was something that I covered in some detail on purpose, like the on-purpose person. How do I find my purpose? What's my meaning in life? How do I connect my career to my purpose so I can find meaning? Those are really helpful if you want some energy as a leader. All right? So let me give you 3 questions to help you with connection and get more energy if you're feeling kind of flat. What do I find that's meaningful in this experience? Okay? What do I find that's meaningful in my work experience? I mean, if you're on the phone all day for a full shift, it can be pretty grueling, right? BBs? You're like, man, dialing and dialing and dialing. Well, you have to connect meaning or purpose to that, right? And if you can do that, then your brain goes, oh, this is important. I think I'll be sort of excited. I think I'll be more focused. That's a good thing. All right. Second question to increase energy and connection is, what is it that's going to help me contribute to other people? In other words, how can I contribute to other people? That's the bottom line. God did not put you on this earth to simply take care of yourself. We're here to impact and influence others. And we do that whether we mean to or not. You know, we influence others. We're always communicating, whether we like it or not. And if people feel meaningless, like my life is meaningless, I have no energy. As you recall, maybe from one of our presentations on purpose, meaninglessness comes from being off purpose and not giving. Being off purpose, in other words, you're not connected to your purpose. And the second way you feel like everything's meaningless is you're not giving, you're just taking. There are givers, there are takers. Takers eventually will, it's not a good life. Not only will your energy be low, but as one guy, or my former president said, when you're all wrapped up in yourself, you make a pretty small package. So think about that. All right. The third question you can ask to get energy and connection is, how does this goal that I have for this month or this year, or my theme for the year, how does this goal align with my values and my purpose? If they're at cross purposes, then you might feel like you're just rowing upstream, or you're in a kayak and you're heading up the river the wrong way, and you're like, I am not getting anywhere, but it's taking a lot of energy. Yes. So how does this goal align with my values? You've got to make sure that you're all in sync and you're congruent with where you're headed. All right? So we've got energy and choice. You get energy and connection. And finally, you get energy and competence. I like this. Competence. It gives you energy when you know what you're doing. Competence is the ability to see progress and demonstrate your skill. over time, right? I mean, I remember being a rookie salesperson and I was just so beat up and my energy was low at the beginning when I was a rookie because I was like, I am not good at this. And my competence was so low, it affected my attitude, my motivation, ultimately, my, you guys would say your status, everything's affected. So competence is a great energy booster. And you've got to that can be part of your purposes. I'm growing, I'm learning. Today I'm getting more competent. Look back and review the day and say, what did I learn today to help me be more competent, right? So just like I love the stuff that Lena's sending out, the little slides out of that deck, kind of the reminders. And there was one in there that I remember talked about being a friend and being an expert. And your job is not to be client's friend. Your job is to be an expert. Your job is to demonstrate competence. And then friendship might be a bonus that comes a little bit later, but you've got to be an expert, which I really like. That's something that Demi said. Okay? So of all the things that can boost your inner work life, the most important is making progress in meaningful work. Okay? That's what a team called Amabile and Kramer, they came up with that thought, and I really liked it. Of all the things that can boost your inner work life, the most important is making progress in meaningful work. Okay? And here's the deal. On competence, I got to tell you, you're like, well, what about the questions? Here they are. I'll give you a few questions. This one's simple. What am I learning? Or what did I learn this week? And if your brain is really super negative, I remember when I was, again, coaching very young, new salespeople that were trying to learn a difficult business. And I'd say, well, what are you learning? And they'd say, nothing. Or they'd say, pain. And I'd say, well, put in the word could. What could I learn if I had my head out of my butt? Oh, okay. So what am I learning, or what could I learn? Could is a good word. Or here's another question. What skills do I have? If your brain goes, I have no skills, I'm very bad, then insert the word could. What skills could I have if I get the right attitude and keep grinding away? Yeah? Makes sense? So learning is a wonderful thing. Here's the last question. What am I learning that helps me help others? What am I learning that helps me serve others? So key. All right? So to me, this is pretty simple, but I like it. You get energy from feeling like you have choice. You get energy from connection to a purpose. And you get energy from being competent, being an expert in what you do. And guess what? New people, if you've just been here a few months, it takes a while to become an expert. This is not an overnight process. I know many of you, if you're in your 20s, are like, I want to develop patience now. Well, that's ironic. That's not how it works. It takes a while. So be patient with yourself. So last night when we were talking with Chenda and the gang in Hong Kong, I always can interact just a little bit more with them since it's a smaller group. And usually they jump in and have comments. But Chenda made this observation, which I liked. He said, if someone believes in themselves, he found that energy comes. He said, if someone doesn't believe in themselves, even making a sale is not motivational. And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. Like when your mind is right, when your head is right, when you're on purpose, when you're doing the job the way it should be done, and you make a sale, then you get energy from that, right? Everybody, hopefully. But if your confidence is low, if your competence is low, if you're not feeling great about what you're doing, even the sales don't motivate, because it's purposelessness. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thought. So there you go. Any thoughts from the gallery? I see all the mics are muted. Thank you so much. This is your chance to unmute if you have a thought, or another way that when your motivational fuel tank is low, how you get that fuel tank back up to full quickly. Does anybody have a thought on that one? Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay. Excellent. Perfect. Well, hopefully you picked. Yeah.
What was the thought? Did someone speak? Or...
I don't think I understand, Idis, exactly your question.
I thought that someone was making a point and that I didn't hear it.
No, we were waiting for you to make a point.
So I don't know. Thinking about the future helps sometimes. Thinking about it brightly, not maybe utopically, but brightly. You know, it's related to the video you sent about visualization. Yeah, you just think about how good it could be, and then basically create energy from nothing, defying the laws of physics, which is nice.
Yeah.
You just thinking.
That's a great, thank you. That's a good contribution. Yeah. Concentrating on the future instead of the past. How many people do you know, maybe they're older, that are still living in the past?
Oh,
do you know?
God.
Yeah. I mean, think about, that's even an album by Jethro Tull, Living in the Past. If you're concentrating on a bright future and your brain moves teleologically towards those images, what a great thing. You can give yourself energy by having that kind of profound outlook, rather than just, sitting around with a pint saying, I remember the good old days when sales were easy and whatever. It's a dim.
The sugar was sweeter, I've heard.
Yes, that too. So everyone write that down. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to let you all go. Thank you for tuning in this week. Next week we'll have another exciting topic. And the one question I would ask you is, you might have a little discussion if you're in a group on how you all as leaders manage your motivational energy. How do you manage your motivational energy? That's my discussion assignment for you if you have time. All right. So have a great day, great evening, great week. Let's keep winning and look forward to bigger and better things. Thanks for tuning in.
Yay.
See ya.